All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Richard Thibault. I'm the IT manager for the Departments of Central Receiving. I am here along with Matt. Matt, if you'd like to unmute and turn your video on, we can have you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know, I am Matthew Wixon, the Shipping and Receiving Manager at Central Receiving. I will be here to assist in answering any questions you might have during the presentation. I'm going to answer two of these right off the bat, Richard.
Sure.
Jay, you should be fine as long as you can hear us. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat. And Denise, yes, we will be sharing this presentation. We are recording, so when this is all complete, it'll be available for folks who were unable to attend.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
So hopefully everybody's in the right spot today. We'll try to get through this as quickly as possible to give everybody most of their afternoon back. Today you are here for the Transtream 2021 product updates and campus info session. What we've got to cover for you today is our changes to packaging selection, drop-down options in Transtream. We've made some changes to some dry ice selections, package content section. We're now including a return services option for when you're sending out a package if you'd like to send a package back. And we also have added the return label requisition workflow for prepaid waybills to Transtream now instead of being on the website. So that's a new enhancement. We'll cover some updates to view shipments, and we also have a time at the end to ask questions. Like Matt said, we are recording this session. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. We would ask you to, if you would, please keep yourself muted and your video off just for the preservation of the recording. And then at the end during the question and answer session, we can unmute you and you can ask your questions as well there. So the first thing we'll cover today is the requisition changes to Transtream. So we've had some nice enhancements come along that have been requested along the way, and we hope that it helps people out while they're processing their Transtream shipments. So the first thing that we'll cover is the packaging selection. So when you're in Transtream and you're doing a new shipment, you've got the packaging selection option, which is right here. The current way that we had that was we had multiple listings for every particular package type. So we had DHL, USPS, FedEx, UPS, different box types. So what that did was it basically just changed the dimensions area with the particular dimensions for that package. Unfortunately, it still rated everything as customer package instead of rating everything based on its actual package type. It was more of a convenience thing to help add the dimensions in so you didn't have to do it or take a measurement of the box or anything like that. However, like I said, that kind of meant that your rating might have been a little bit off while you were rating it. However, we were making those changes on the back end in the ship center, or we call it ship center. So at the shipping desk or the mail services desk, we would make those changes for you. So you're getting the right charge. However, you just weren't seeing the correct rate. So we've updated that and we've made it a lot more streamlined. So now you will pick from other packaging, carrier box, small carrier box, medium carrier box, large carrier box, carrier tube, carrier envelope, or carrier pack. And what that does is on the back end of that, that rates it a little bit better so that you actually get the proper package type. In the package column, you probably noticed that this was all used to be customer package. Now it's going to specifically show large package or large express box. Something to note about all of these, they say carrier for a reason, and that is those are carrier supplied packaging types. So for UPS that has an express box, the branded express box, or for USPS, a flat rate box, those are packages that are boxes that are provided by the carriers and are intended to be used with their express services only. So not to be used with like a ground service for UPS or FedEx, for example. So when you do pick one of those small carrier boxes or medium carrier boxes and so forth, you're actually going to get only express level services for the most part. USPS is a little bit different. So there might be retail ground options like you see there, or a priority mail express, or even a parcel select ground. USPS is a little bit different, but that is a change that you should be aware of, and why that list is no longer there. You can change the dimensions to the correct dimensions if the one we have pre-populated for any of those options isn't right. You can still change those dimensions and you'll still get the correct rating. Next up, for those of you that are familiar with dry ice shipments, dry ice can be shipped UPS or FedEx. UPS is limited to 5 pounds and does not require telling UPS that it has dry ice, except for the box labeling. Basically, they just don't want to know electronically that we're actually sending dry ice. FedEx is limited up to 50 pounds of dry ice, but does require telling them electronically. It actually prints on the carrier label when we print it out. And it requires the box labeling as well. So when you click this dry ice checkbox button now, you're going to get this little pop-up box that tells you what you should and shouldn't do. So if you're going to ship UPS, basically we just don't want you to check that box. So you just leave it unchecked, don't put any ice weight or product weight in, and then you can continue on. If you're going to be shipping FedEx, we ask that you check the box, enter the ice weight and the product weight, and then you'll be able to continue on as well. If you by chance did put in a dry ice checkbox for UPS and ice weight and product weight, you're going to get a notification on the the UPS rates with a little yellow triangle that says this rate does not qualify for dry ice, that special service does not apply. That's kind of your indication to know that doesn't, you need to go backwards a little bit and uncheck that box. What ends up happening is when it hits the shipping desk and our mail services, when we try to ship it, we get a warning and they have to do some additional changes to your package to make it actually work. So we're trying to get that kind of ironed out, that from now on, UPS stuff, just don't check the box. So in the package content section, typically related to international shipments, in this section here, we've noticed a few things and some issues with people understanding quantity, weight, and value, and how the multiplication is happening between all of those particular columns. To help that out, we've added some what are called hover help text boxes over every column. So if you hover over with your mouse, over country of origin, it's going to pop up this little box here, and it's going to tell you what should go in that particular field. So for example, the country of origin, we would like you to use 2-digit country codes. And this is the country of manufacture, production, or growth. So for US, it would be US instead of USA or United States or United States of America typed out. We do need these, typed in specifically. We've moved also to and are moving more to electronic filing, and these types of things become more and more important as we enhance our system and be more compliant with export control regulations. So it's important that this information is entered correctly. So we're trying to help everybody out on what's supposed to go in there. We have asked for some enhancements on, well, can we just get a drop-down list for country of origin? And as of yet, that product enhancement hasn't made it to the top yet. So I keep trying. Well, we keep trying to make things happen like that, but we can only get so far as we can get. Let's move on a little bit here. There we go. So in this package contents section, we've also added a couple calculated fields to help understand where total weight and total value is actually coming up to when you're entering your details. So when you add a row and you enter a quantity and you're entering a weight and you're entering a value, we're going to add now we've added now these columns at the end called total weight and total value. This is going to automatically calculate the moments that you tab out of that last field and then move your mouse. It requires a mouse movement for it to actually work, so it'll actually show up. You would be able to tab over and enter stuff in there, but it's going to get erased. It's going to get automatically calculated for you. And then if you add a second row, it will actually calculate all of the package contents totals down here at the bottom. So if I had multiple rows in here and they were all $12, my total value would be $24 or something like that. So that's the package contents total. These are the totals for each specific row. So continuing on the international theme, in the international breadcrumb, in the terms section, We've added some additional help here because we do find that a lot of people have some issues with this because we may not ship internationally a lot, and quite frankly, international is just confusing. I'm glad I don't ship internationally very often, but the export control laws and rules and regulations are quite confusing. So we've added some additional help here. We've added hover help text as well. So if you hover over any of these fields, you're going to get this box right here, and it will help you understand what that is asking for. Because we are not the shippers, and we never will be, we won't know the answers to some of these questions. It's kind of up to you guys to find out what those answers are, but we do provide you with some details here as well as out on our support site. If you haven't gone to our support site, all you have to do is click the help button in Transtream and go to support site. Log into our support site and you can look at videos and articles and links out to what is an FTR, what is a set exempt number, what is a terms of sale, also known as an Incoterm. What are these things, so that you can actually see what those are and hopefully help define those for you. Additionally, we've also added some blue question mark options at the end here, and all you do is click it and it'll pop up basically the same box you get with the hover help. And we did that because some people aren't using mouses. They might be using, a touch screen or something like that. So we give the ability to find that information by clicking on the blue question mark. You'll have to click it again to make it go away, but we do provide this for you and it has the same information. You will also notice that we've added several additional fields here. We have carrier account, FTR or set exempt number. We now have parties related. These are all related to our enhancements related to export control. If you don't know what these are, we do ask that you do leave it blank. The reason being is if you put a period or an exclamation or a special character or a space in any one of these fields, it becomes kind of hard to troubleshoot when we get an error on our side what's missing, or if it says carrier account not valid. Sometimes our errors are non-specific too, and it becomes hard to troubleshoot those. So if you don't know, you don't enter it. But there are some fields that you should know. A country of ultimate destination, you should be able to fill that out because you should know what country it's headed to. You need your export control shipment ID number. We do require these two fields to be completed and filled in order to actually proceed along. So a new service that we've added, or a new option, I shouldn't say service, a new option that we've added to Transtream is, instead of you having to type in the shipping desk instructions that you'd like a return label sent out with your package, we now give you the option to tell us that you want that, and that helps us automatically process that. So we basically just have to click one button and the whole thing goes, which is awesome. We give that ability. By default, it is to not include a return label, but we give you the options also for include a return service label, either coming back the same service that it's going out, or to include the return service label via ground. So for example, if I'm going to ship out a UPS second day air package and I want it to come back second day air because it's important, I can click the same service option. If I'm going to ship it out second day air, but I want it to come back ground, then I'd pick the ground option. When you do that, you will be prompted with this little box here. And basically what we're telling you here is that your rate shop results that you see in the rate shop do not include the cost for the return shipment. So you'll just need to mentally make a note that you need to double that cost and add about $1 fee for return services. That's a carrier charge. So just be aware of that. You will be billed for the cost of the return shipment. So we base that estimate. When we rate it and we ship it, we get that initial cost based on the information that it's going out with. That will be billed the same day that your outgoing transaction is billed. Any additional charges, so if they decided to put a lead brick in the box on the way back just for fun, you'll get charged for that. So that'll happen separately and outside of that transaction. We do billing, and it can take up to 2 months for that part to happen. But for the most part, if your shipments are accurate, you'll be charged the same, plus about $1 fee based on the carrier's additional service fee for return services. So one of the bigger changes we've made is we've added the return label requisition workflow to Transtream. What this is for those of you that would like a prepaid waybill. And these are shipments that did not go outbound from CSU, or maybe they did, but you're not going out right now. but they need to come back to CSU. Or maybe you're having a vendor send you something, but you wanted to pay for the shipping because it might be cheaper. Typically, we would have you go to our website and go to the prepaid waybill shipment request form. You'd fill that out and it would send an email to us, and we'd manually process all that in Transtream, ironically, but it was all manual processing. So we've made an enhancement to Transtream. We've added an additional button here called Create a Return Label Requisition. So the name has changed slightly, so be aware of that. It's now called a return label instead of a prepaid waybill. So this process is similar to a regular shipment requisition. It's essentially generating an electronic requisition to us to process. You won't get a paper at the end, and I'll show you that here in a second. But it's essentially the same process as generating a requisition. We've changed some labels so that everything's proper. So your information is going to populate here by default in the return to section. So all of your information will be here. And then the return from section is the person who's actually going to ship the box physically from their location back to CSU. We are requiring that you enter all of their address information and validate it and get their email address and so forth, so that we have all that for the automated processes and such. You will notice on the right-hand side, we've populated this with prepaid return services label request text. So you can kind of really tell that you are in the prepaid section instead of the regular shipment outgoing section. Some notes about return services if you're not familiar with it. It is for domestic only. So if you tried to pick an international address from the address book, or you can tell here we've disabled country, you can't. It's domestic shipments only. There is a $1,000 declared value or insurance limit for those shipments. And that's a carrier limitation. We just don't know what the person's really going to put in the box or how they're going to package it, those types of things. So they do limit that to $1,000 of declared value or insurance. You are also not allowed to ship hazardous materials or dangerous goods via return services for obvious reasons. A lot of that's declarable. You need to have that shipped through a different means. Something to be aware of is we actually, let me just say that in a minute here. Let's move on to this next slide. So in the next section, or in the billing section, you will put in your Koali account number just like usual, and it'll pull your default Koali account number, or you can change that on the fly. We still ask for your name, your phone number, and your email address. And that's more or less for our shipping desk to be able to contact you easily without having to search for the info. And then you have a couple options here. By default, we email the label to the sender, and it's a PDF label that we get generated from the carrier. And we put it in a particular template, copy you, and email that to your sender. The other option is a 1 pickup attempt or a 3 pickup attempt, and those are only valid for UPS options at this point. So what that means is that if you pick a 1 pickup attempt, the UPS driver will actually go out with the label and make 1 pickup attempt at that location to pick up that package. The other option is a 3 pickup attempt, and they'll do the same thing, only that time they'll make up to 3 pickup attempts to retrieve that package. If you pick UPS, not UPS, if you pick 1 pickup attempt or 3 pickup attempt, your rate grid will be restricted to just UPS only options, because that's all that's supported for the 1 or 3 pickup attempts at this point. So the benefit of this as well over our old process, our old form, is that you now get to rate shop, and these are estimated costs. We're doing some back end stuff to try to figure out a rate for you. It's kind of doing it as an outbound shipment, but it'll be pretty accurate to this, plus or minus $1 or $2, depending again on how and what they actually ship it in. So back in the content section, which I didn't put a slide in here for that, we do ask you for the weight and dimensions of the package, so you'll have to know that information from the sender, so that we can provide you with a rate. Now, if they said it's 5 pounds and it's in a 10 by 10 by 10 box, but it's really in a 20 by 20 by 20 and it's 80 pounds, your rate obviously is going to be a little bit different, but this is going to end up being the number you're going to be billed in Koali initially. And then, like I said, we back bill anything that is over and above that, or even under, and we'll refund you those differences, I believe, from our accounting department. So those are estimated costs for return shipments. On the last screen, the confirmation screen here, we are telling you again, this is an estimated cost only. This is the returns are billed on actual size and weight of the package sent, and that initial billing occurs next business day, just like it always does. And any adjustments can take up to 2 months to process, but that's billed separately in a Koali transaction through service billing. Something to be aware of: when you hit submit, you're going to get a box that I'm going to show you here in a second, but be aware that processing is completed only during normal business hours. It's still not manual, but we do have to take an additional step to confirm everything and process and get the label and email it to you. So it's kind of like an outbound package. It's only processed during our normal business hours. Our cutoff for processing is still 3 p.m. for the same day processing. If they're able to get to it between 3 and 4 that same day when it comes in, they'll do that. But between 3 and 4, they're really dedicated to getting those physical boxes that are in receiving and shipping to get out to the carriers, and they're very busy during that time. So just be aware of that. We don't process it on weekends. We don't, we can't do it within the next hour type of a thing. It does require a little bit of time, so please plan ahead if at all possible. And again, billing occurs automatically for those initial costs, which you would see here, plus about a dollar or so for the carrier fee. And then any additional charges or corrections after that will be billed separately in a service billing. So when you click that submit button, you're going to get a return confirmation checkbox, or not checkbox, warning box, that tells you that we have received your request, it's been submitted, and that we'll send you your label within 1 business day. And all you have to do is click OK, and that'll just take you back out to the desktop, Transtream desktop. So what happens with that then is we end up getting an email, and then we go in and actually finish processing that particular return requisition, and then email the individual, if it's an email label, the label, as well as copying you so that you have that information as well. The benefit, though, is once it's processed, you can now see those shipments in your View Shipments app, just like a regular shipment. From there, you can print your shipment receipt so that you can provide that to your business office. You can see your tracking number, and you can also track that package from there. You can also see that, what Koali account number you used, and the one that's not pictured here right now is what ship date was actually done for that particular package when it actually went out. So a quick note here about export control. For those that aren't familiar with international shipping, all international outbound shipments are required to go through that export control process. We do ask that you complete the export control international shipping checklist before you start your Transtream requisition. You're going to be prompted when you do your international shipment to do that if you haven't already, because you will need your export control shipment ID number to proceed. We do ask that you do not send your package to the shipping desk before you obtain final approval from export control. So we used to send, or you will still receive, a red or green email that says, that it is or isn't throwing any flags. That is no longer that final determination any longer. So you do have to wait for export control to answer back that it is cleared and what classification it is, so that our folks can finish processing your package. We do ask that you have any export control questions, you definitely contact them. And we do link this out here, and we will, like we said before, provide these slides on our support site as well. So speaking of our support site, for those of you that aren't aware, we do have a support site that can also take feedback. Our support site's open 24/7, 365. It's self-help, essentially. It's not manned, those 24/7, 365, because I need to sleep at some point. You can get there just by clicking the help button in Transtream and clicking the support site option. Log into that support site for full access. So for the articles and the videos and the tutorials, all of that, just log in and you can see all of that information. And a lot of this will be updated here pretty soon. This rollout happened quite quickly, so I haven't quite gotten it updated for all this upgrade stuff yet, but those will all be updated here soon as well. You can watch instructional videos and all that. You can also post questions and feedback. So if there's something in Transtream that's just frustrates the heck out of you, or you think there's a feature that we should add, or if you have questions, definitely post them in there. I answer all of them, no matter how small the question is. The only thing I say is if it's critical and you're doing something and it needs to be done that day, email the shipping desk, shipping@colostate.edu with your question, or call them at 491-5347. For those of you that haven't gotten our emails or don't get our emails or have unsubscribed previously for some reason, you can subscribe to our emails at cr.colostate.edu/subscribe. I automatically subscribe any Transtream user. That way you get all of our notifications if we have an outage or an upgrade, anything like that, any important stuff that's happening with Transtream, you get those as a Transtream user automatically. But if by some chance you unsubscribed and would like to resubscribe, you can do so by going to that link right there. And as always, you can email any questions you have or suggestions to shipping@colostate.edu. Awesome. So I will bring up Transtream here and I'll look in the questions. So Lynn, your question is, where do you find the 2-digit country or 2-digit code for a given country? That's a good question. And I'm not sure if I put that one in the support site yet or not, but I will definitely take that question and I'll either let you know or I'll post it out into our support site. That's a very good idea. Oh, it looks like Matt has an answer to that one. Let me see. Are you still unmutable? Let me ask to unmute. How about that?
So yeah, I just did a quick Google search and it brings up multiple resources, and they're all pretty consistent. They seem to have the same 2-digit code for, obscure countries that I personally have never heard of. So I think, yeah, if you just punch that into Google, you should be fine. And then to answer Carol's question, not 100% sure. I have texted both our UPS drivers to hopefully get an answer before the end of this presentation. So if I do, I know when they make attempts on like the weekends and stuff, they do leave a note. So I have to assume it's the same, but I'll try to get a definitive answer.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oop, wrong button. Let's try this button again. There we go. That's better. Alrighty, so I'm just going to walk through real quick so you can kind of see live through the steps instead of just through the screenshots of how all of these little things work. So here's some of our blue check or question mark options. If you hover over it on most of them, they'll pop up with a hover text, or if you click it, it'll do the same thing. And it just kind of gives you some information. So in a create a shipment requisition here, we will do an address. Let's do Texas. And we'll do next. So in the content section, again, is where this packaging selection option is. So now when you click this, you've got just those 6 options. Well, 7 with other packaging. I always forget that one. Otherwise, if it's not in a carrier express box, so in other words, if it's in a brown box, a brown paper box or whatever it might be, go other packaging. If it's in a carrier box, then those would be available options for you to pick from as well. If you don't know, you then go with other packaging. But if I pick any one of these, it's going to automatically tell me that we changed the dimensions. And we tell you that just in case you accidentally or already put in dimensions, we're going to overwrite those. If it's not those dimensions, feel free to change those so that it's more related to what your particular package is. Again, we do require content description. Any of these little red asterisk fields, you have to fill in and tab out of in order for this next button to become available. Let me go back one. If I do dry ice here, well, of course, it's not going to do the, no, that's a bug. Wow, bummer. We'll have to check on that one. I'll check on that one. You should be getting a warning box, and it's possible it's just not popping up because I'm so zoomed in, but we'll go on to next here. So in the additional information section is where our new return service label options are. So we have the option to include return service label same service and include return service label ground. Let's say we want to do a ground return on this one. We're going to be told again, the rating results you're about to see do not include the cost for the return label. Those return costs will be billed separately and automatically. So we click OK, and then we can continue on to next. And now you can see, because I picked small express, carrier options, now I'm seeing the particular package type for those options and the associated service with those options. So in this case, let's say maybe I wanted to go UPS second day air in that small express box. And for those of you who aren't aware of this, you can click the headers up here to sort by carrier, and it'll sort it within the carrier and by cost, lowest to highest as well. So that's helpful for those that, you want UPS, you don't want to have to hunt through it. You can group them, which is very helpful. You can also group it by package or service or delivery date. Any one of these headers also works. So we've already picked second day air. We'll confirm that rate and click next. And then we'll just click print. And then when that package or that requisition gets to us, we're going to actually see the information on our side. And then we'll pull up that requisition, weigh your outbound package, process it, and it will automatically create a secondary transaction for the return option. And it will print that label. We'll then apply that label in a pouch to the box, or if the box is open, we'll just slide it in there and tape up the box. Typically, it'll go in a pouch on the outside. So I'll do a new shipment here, and I'm going to do an international so that you can see some of these additional international options that we have available. Ugh, 50 would be a big box. Maybe it's a tumbleweed. Alrighty, from here, we have the package content section down here. So I will warn you that sometimes, even though it's not supposed to, if you pick documents only, we do get the need for this to also be filled in for some carriers to some locations. So you may be contacted if that's necessary. Just be aware of that. It's a carrier specific thing, and we haven't nailed down exactly why and what countries yet, but just be aware of that. Otherwise, we can do add row here. And now you can hover over and you can see, such as Schedule B is a 10-digit classification number. It's required only for greater than 2,500 if it requires an export license and such. And we'll run through here. Let's go do a 3 quantity, a part number. This is the most common question that we get. Well, I don't have a part number. So we put in here, please assign an item number, even if one does not exist. So this is a DHL, typically a DHL requirement, that they require something as a part number. Make one up. It doesn't, that's okay. If you don't have a specific part number that's attached to that, you can just do like 00001 or something. We'll put in a weight, and again, the weight here is going to end up needing to be in total, that's going to come down here, less than the weight of the entire package. So these are the items specifically in the box that need to be called out on. So for this, we'll do country of origin as US. And let's say our value is $25 each. So this is where it becomes important. If I tab out and I move my mouse, I now get the calculations of 6 pounds and $75. This is, like I said, was one of the most common errors that we were seeing. If you had a quantity of 50 and you had a value of 5,000, that's a lot of dollars, and that's probably going to throw you out of compliance. So we need to make sure that those values are correct, and that was hopefully what our fix here will help a lot of folks on making sure that those are correct. If I were to add an additional row here, and let's say just put 21 pieces maybe, different part number, maybe it's only a half a pound. No, that's not it. Let's do like a lot less than that, because otherwise I'm going to throw my weights over. US manufacturer, let's make this one. These are 10 cents each. Now, once I move my mouse, there's my value. And my value of the total package has now been updated as well. So now we can click next and then complete this section. And click next. Here's our international shipping checklist reminder if you haven't already done it. If you have, you can just close that box. Terms of sale, again, blue check or blue question marks. If I click on it, it'll pop up some information on what that field is for, or what needs to go in that field. See here, see support site for list of Incoterms. To make it go away, you just click it again. I can also get that same box by just hovering over the field itself. Carrier account in this case doesn't apply. Again, this is not your Koali account number. Do not put your Koali account number in here, because what it's going to do on the back end is it's going to try to validate when we hit ship that your Koali account number is a carrier account, meaning that it is a UPS or FedEx specific account number for exports. And that's not what needs to go here. So if you have it, you're billing against somebody else's account type of a deal, that's where that would go. The FTR set exempt number for this one will apply. Again, where will the country of export? This one is Australia, ultimate destination. Parties related. If the parties are related, they're the same family, whatever, that does need to be checked. Again, we're doing a lot more of this electronically now, so a lot of this is being validated. Let's say I have an export control shipment ID number, and my name would go here. I can pick a carrier, confirm the rate, and click next, and then click print. Cool. So that's down and dirty on the international options. So let's move into the create a return label requisition. Again, this is the new functionality that we've added to Transtream, replaces the old prepaid waybill request. So when I click that option, my information is going to default here on the left-hand side. If I need to make any changes to this information on this shipment, I can do so. And then the information where it's coming from. Again, you can use the address book. If you tried to do an international shipment, it's going to throw you a warning that says international is not supported for return shipments. You would need to contact the shipping desk. Otherwise, go ahead and pick a domestic shipment, or a domestic address, I should say. It'll automatically validate. And again, our information on the right-hand side here that tells you some more information on what is and is not allowed. So I do need to know the estimated weight and dimensions of this particular package that's coming to me. Again, this is as close as you possibly can to the actual dimensions that are going to be sent so that you get the right rating. And then in the declared value insurance section, if I do try to put in anything more than $1,000, it's going to throw an error at me and say, nope, only $1,000 is allowed on return shipments. I do need to put a description. So what's in the box essentially is what they're looking for, and then tab out, and I can now click next. It's going to ask again for your name, your phone number. And then by default, it's going to pick email label to sender, and then I'll give you all carriers as a rating. Otherwise, you can pick the 1 pickup attempt or 3 pickup attempt. And again, those will only give you UPS options. So we'll do an email label to sender so that we can see all the carriers available. So once our rate grid populates here, now I can see I have UPS ground, FedEx ground that I can pick from, any one of these particular options, and I can see the cost. And we like this benefit because, if you're thinking this is a really important package and you want it here, by a certain date or a certain time, you can see like here, FedEx first overnight, it can get here by 8:30, but it's going to cost us $187. Whereas, hey, if I can wait 2 hours, I could save a really big chunk of money by doing that. Previously on our old farm, you weren't able to do any of that. So this is a great enhancement for you to be able to see at least a much more estimated cost of what that shipment is going to cost to come back to you based on the information that you're entering. So let's say we want this one to come back FedEx ground. So we'll pick FedEx and we'll do confirm rate, and then we'll click next. Again, on this confirmation screen, we're actually telling you this is an estimated cost only. And there again, returns are billed on actual size and weight, and the initial billing will include this cost plus about $1 for that carrier return fee. So when you click submit, you're going to get this return confirmation. Your request for a prepaid waybill has been submitted, and that you will receive an email confirmation when the label has been created within a business day of our normal processing. So some other enhancements here in our View Shipments app. When you do your search, you can now see, and we've been doing a lot, this is a test account if you can't tell, we've been doing a lot of voids in here. But you can come into any one of these options or any one of these shipments, and you can now see if it was a return shipment. You've always been able to see that, but you're now able to see if it's when it was shipped. You can track the package from here. You can do your shipment receipt. And these, again, for returns, especially the prepaid way bills, these options are all available just like a regular outbound shipment. In this View Shipments app, we've also added some additional info tabs for package level on the right and shipment level on the left. And it'll tell you any of the fields that you had filled in. Now, some of these we default for all of them, so you'll see those. But you can see additional information for the package. Some of these are test shipments, so they're not showing all of the information. But then you can also see if any special services like insurance or declared value, signature options, email option notifications, those kinds of things were included as well. Awesome. So let's do, which button? Let's try that button. Cool. All right, so that's a really quick run through of all the updates that we've had to Transtream in this particular upgrade. Let's take a look into the questions and see what we've got in here. So the question is, when choosing packaging selection, what option do we choose if we are not sending it in a carrier package? You just choose other packaging. And by default, it is set at other packaging. So yep, that would be the correct option to pick for that one. Okay, so from ERL, I'll address your question separately in an email because your system is completely different than everybody else's. So I'll address that question separately. I'll make a note and we'll get that taken care of. Thanks for letting us know, because yeah, you shouldn't be seeing a lot of that actually. Let's see, what else? Next question, will this be on your website or will it be sent out to those that attended to email out to people in their department? So we're planning on doing is taking the best recording from yesterday and today, and I will post it out to our support site, and then I'll email all attendees, all registered attendees, that's available on the support site and that can be viewed on demand by anybody. So anybody with an EID can actually log into our support site or to Transtream and see that video. So yes, absolutely. And then I will unmute Matt here because he can answer one of the additional questions. There you go, Matt.
So I did hear back from one of the UPS drivers, and she said they would absolutely leave some sort of notice letting you know what action they were performing, whether it was a pickup or a delivery. Generally, outside of COVID, there would be a 2-hour window you could rely on of when they'll be there, but currently it's somewhat inconsistent, and the window can vary depending on the day and especially the weather in Colorado.
Awesome. Good answer. Alrighty, so if anybody else has any questions, feel free to post it in the chat, or if you'd rather, you can also use the reactions button at the bottom and raise your hand, and then we can unmute you and you can ask your question as well. We do have some additional time. We got about 15 minutes left in our schedule for today, so we do have time for the questions. If not, you're free to go, and we appreciate you attending our session today. And we'll stick around here for a few minutes and just take care of any additional questions. Matt, as far as dry ice labels, is it possible to have shipping fill that out?
We have done it in critical moments. If somebody forgot and it needs to go out, we will assist with that. We don't like to do that. Whoever's shipping it should be the ones providing the information as accurately as possible. So we will do it in some situations, but we really prefer that it's the individual shipping the package.
Excellent. Good info.
And to answer that question in terms of how much, that is 100% on the individual shipping. They do need to know the contents of the box all the way down to how much ice is in it. So that's somewhat important.
All righty. All righty. I'm not seeing any other questions. So I think we're good. If anybody does have any additional questions or isn't able to get it into the chat for any reason, definitely reach out to us, shipping@colostate.edu, and we'll get that question answered for you. Thanks everyone for attending today, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Have a great weekend, everyone.